Okay, y'all, I want to start this video a little bit different than I normally do and focus on a case that astonished me from childhood. It involves alien abduction that happened 20 miles from where I live in my home state of Mississippi. It took place in the year 1973 in a sleepy little town called Pascagoula. Now, aliens and abductions have long been a Southern topic of discussion, ever since the UFO sighting boom of the 1960s and 70s, where crafts were spotted weekly. Despite all the years now past, the strange events that took place on that night haven't become any less unsettling or baffling for that matter. On the night of October 11th, 1973, the little coastal town of Pascagoula, Mississippi, became the site of the second UFO abduction case in all of U.S. history. The day would start off just like any other for Mr. Charles Hickson, age 42, and Mr. Calvin Parker, Jr., age 19. The men were co-workers at the local shipyard. They made plans earlier in the day to go fishing that afternoon after work. At about 9 p.m., while the two were fishing off of the west bank of the Pascagoula River, Hickson and Parker's strange ordeal began to unfold. According to reports, the two men heard a strange buzzing sound. It was a noise neither man had ever heard before. They then noticed a craft with a bright blue illuminating light overhead. Hickson described the flying object in further detail, claiming that it appeared to be in the shape of a football and hovered only a few feet off of the ground. All of a sudden, an entrance appeared on the side of the craft, at which that time 3 humanoid-looking entities with claw-like hands then exited the ship, floating above the ground at a steady speed towards Hickson and Parker. In later interviews, Parker finally indicated at that very moment he had then passed out, leaving only Hickson to witness the frightening events that were about to take place. After the two men were brought on board the craft, Hickson then claimed he was taken into a big room where a round eye-like object floated around him. Hickson said the entire ordeal lasted in his mind 20 minutes. As Parker states, he was completely paralyzed and taken to an exam table, where the being started to perform some type of medical evaluation on him. Parker stated that a feminine-looking being telepathically told him not to be afraid. "We will not hurt you," as it took its finger and stuck it down Parker's throat, pushing up on his tonsils to the point of panic and pain. Afterwards, they were returned to their original fishing location on the banks of the Pascagoula River, where Hickson was then reunited with Parker, his hands raised to the sky and screaming in terror. Both frightened and confused, the two were not sure if they should tell a soul about what had just happened. After a lengthy debate, Hickson and Parker finally decided to contact Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. However, they were told that the base no longer handled any UFO sightings, and then they were instructed to call the local sheriff's department. After coming to terms with being the laughingstock of town, Hickson and Parker then went to the Jackson County Sheriff's Department around 11 p.m. on that night. Sheriff Fred Diamond noted that both men were visibly shaken and not drunk as suspected. The sheriff tested the men's authenticity by leaving them alone in the interrogation room that was equipped with a hidden recording device. The sheriff hoped that if the two were lying, he would use that time to corroborate their story. However, this tape only captured the two men and the unbelievable, horrifying events that they had just experienced. Here is the secret recording.
I was trying to get nose pills or something, some doctor or something. I can't stand it. I'm after all the pain. I'll take you by the, when we get through this, we'll go by the prayer. I'll get you something, set you down with so you get some damn sleep. I keep sleeping out like it. I understand you're crazy. But yeah, when it brought you out of that damn thing, and when it brought me out, I like to know when the hell you were. God damn, I like to know when the hell got you straightened out, man. I didn't know it, I remember my heart, they just froze out just like that, and I couldn't move it, just like I stepped on a damn rattle snake. They didn't do me that way, though, oh, Lord have mercy. I passed out. That's the first time I ever passed out in my life. You shut the new medical records. I've never seen nothing like that before in my life. Just like you can't make people believe that, though. I don't know, so you ever believe it or not, because I better wake up and start breathing. Damn right. I wake up and start breathing. Damn right. Listen, I seen it. I can't figure out the damn door. You see how that door will come in on that side of the side? Yeah, I don't know how to open, son. I don't know. I didn't see no door swing. I don't know how to open. I don't know how to see it open. All right, you see something. And look around, them damn blue lights in them some just like that, they come out. Yeah, no, you can't make people believe. I paralyzed right there. I couldn't believe it one of these days.
By the time the men returned to work the next morning, news of their abduction had reached national proportions and only continued to grow once the interview tape was leaked. At that time, neither man spoke any further about the incident or sought out publicity. Hickson passed away on September the 9th, 2011, and up until his death maintained the validity of his experience, never changing one detail when telling the events of that night. Parker, now in his 60s and tired of news media stalking him like paparazzi, decided to slowly come out of hiding in recent years, and in 2018 published a book of his own, The True Facts of What Occurred on the Night and How the Experience Affected His Life Forever. With all the question and all the uncertainties, what is for certain about the night of October 11th, 1973 is this. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker Jr. arrived at the Sheriff's Department in Pascagoula, Mississippi. They were frantic as they could be when they told authorities that they had just been abducted by aliens. Each man had a puncture wound in each arm. As police tried to calm them down and catch them at what they thought was going to be a drunken lie, it didn't work, as both men later passed all polygraph tests given. On June 26, 2019, the very riverbank where the men said their close encounter took place got a historical marker, calling it one of the best documented cases of alien abduction of all time. After decades of avoiding media attention, Parker was there for the dedication. He continues to live life out of the media spotlight on the Pascagoula River today. Now that you all have heard this story, I'm taking you to the very site where it all took place on that October night in 1973. So y'all come with me as we go to investigate something that really, really baffles my mind. Parker made a statement in a book that he had wrote, and he said maybe they weren't aliens at all. Could they have been demons? This really fascinated my mind, and I wanted answers that I may never receive, as I am too strong in my faith as Parker. The very thought of this is no less terrifying. So you guys, until then, I'll catch you on the dead side. Okay guys, so I'm down at the actual supposed abduction site that happened October the 11th of 1973, right here in this little town of Pascagoula. I'm going to do an EVP session and a spirit box session, and we're going to see if we can get any answers, find out any further details, and watch the skies. So until then, I'll catch you guys on the dead side. Okay guys, I am at the initial abduction site spot. I don't know if you guys can really see too much, but I am exactly where the aliens abducted 2 men in 1973. I'm gonna go down here, I'm gonna do a little investigation. Wow guys, I tell you what, these skeeter bugs down here are big enough you could catch them in a mouse trap. Lord have mercy. Got some boats out here. Oh wow, there's something up in the sky right there. What is that? Whoa, I seen a flash of light. That was odd. You guys watch the skies. Okay guys, I got my EMF meter down here. I got my trusty, rusty spirit box. And we're going to ask some questions and see if we get any kind of alien communication, guys. So listen up. Calling out to all the spirits that are here on this bank of the Pascagoula River. Can you tell me what happened here in 1973? Did 2 men were 2 men abducted from the banks of this river? Can you tell me their names? Were they abducted by aliens or was it demons? Can you tell me how many extraterrestrial beings abducted them? How many? Why were the 2 men chosen? Do aliens visit very often? Should human beings be worried? So that I know that I'm really communicating, how many men were abducted the night of October 11th, 1973 from the bank of this river? What were the two men's names? Were they sober or were they drinking? Can you give me any details about that night? Should humans be worried about aliens invading our planet? What type of agenda do the aliens have with humans? Do extraterrestrials walk among us? Is there any definite details that you can give me about that night? Do you know what my name is? Can you say my name? How many spirits are with me? What is the name of my spirit guide that watches over me? Do any of you spirits know why the aliens abducted the two men on that night? What is the reason they were abducted? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. Do you have any more messages before I leave? You can say them now. Okay, I'm gonna listen back to this and see what you guys have to say. All right, can you say bye-bye? Goodbye. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so I'm going to analyze this, and by the time you're hearing this, you'll already have the full story in effect. So, like I said, I'm going to get home and go through everything, and we'll see where it takes us from here. Okay, guys, bye-bye.